Yes, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, those dogs. I knew it.
Oh.
I knew it. The second the show started.
They always get started immediately, don't they?
They trick me. They're asleep on the couch and it's going to be quiet in here. It isn't. It isn't. I am fine.
They don't.
Yeah. It's all good here. I'm annoyed with myself a little just because I had all kinds of creative things I wanted to work on today and I have not done a single one of them. So,
Yeah.
Boo. Okay, not totally true. I did some research on something I want to do. So, I mean, I did some learning, but
That counts.
putting my hands on anything, not a thing. Yeah, no, that's
That's
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for covering for me yesterday. You were
Always.
on the show yesterday. You know, Katie covered for me. My mother-in-law passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
And, we're in the midst of planning the funeral and getting all this stuff. And Bonnie was a fan of the show. She used to love to watch us on YouTube. So we're going to miss her a whole lot. It's a weird thing, if you guys have known us a while, you know that we've lost both of our parents. And so I sort of feel like this weird, veteran of these things. And so I kind of took the reins on some stuff to help the family out. 'Cause this was a very sudden situation, shocking. She was 82 and her heart was bad, but there was not like a long illness before she just had a heart attack and just went.
Yeah.
So I've been, was she in the chat? She wasn't. Her name was Bonnie. She was not in the chat. She was not the most tech savvy person. She could click on a link to watch us on YouTube, but that's about what she knew how to do on her tablet. So
Yeah.
you guys didn't ever meet her, I don't think, but she was always somebody in the background following and watching.
She was an angel.
Yes.
When our kids were little, they all called her Grandma Bonnie. All of them. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't a grandma to a single one of them until Mike came into the family when, years later. But she was just a grandma. And she always was interested in the kids. She always, of course, knew them by name, knew what was going on with them, asking them how they're doing, keeping up on what they're doing. When they had milestones, graduations and stuff, she always sent them a little check. And she's just a sweet, sweet woman. Yeah.
Very much so. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's, we're not having the best week of our lives.
Yeah. But also the quilting.
I found it.
The quilting.
The quilting. Yeah.
She was a lifetime quilter, and she was in a group of ladies that lived out. They were farm wives that lived way out in the boonies that, there's not a lot to do. And ladies in areas like that create some social thing, right? Yep. So these ladies had created a quilters guild, and they got together frequently to work on quilts together. Yeah, weekly for many, many, many years to quilt, and made quilts for hundreds of quilts for various occasions and stuff, just because they loved it. I always thought that was the coolest thing. It made me want to be in a quilters guild.
I know, it is a cool thing. She actually had told Rhonda that she thinks she has a baby quilt done, that she just needed to dig around and find, that she wanted to give to my son Mike, because you know that I have a grandbaby coming in April. So we're going to see if we can find that.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah. Needs any finishing work, we can just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were really hoping she'd make it to get to meet baby Lily. But, maybe she does. Maybe she's doing that now. I don't know.
I'm sure she is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to be here and be back. But I'm tired. You know how grief and going through stuff like that just drags it down, man. I was just laying on the couch for like an hour just trying to get it together to do the show.
Totally.
But thank you all very much for your condolences and for being here. We really appreciate it.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. Baby Lily will have something from her great grandma. She will.
Yeah.
She definitely will. So,
And oh, how she would have cherished Lily. Oh my
oh my
goodness.
gosh. She was so excited to get to be a grandma when we adopted our son.
Yeah.
And they've always had a really cute relationship where he gets to, tell her about bowling and all the stuff that he's up to and things. And,
Yeah.
learning about the baby coming and when
Hmm.
we found out the gender and the name and all the things of the
Yeah.
baby. She's been very excited about that. So,
Oh, for sure. And one last thing to her credit, because I think this is an amazing thing. Bonnie still had friends from grade school.
oh, she did.
She still was in direct contact, frequent contact, or contact with friends from grade school. She was 82.
Yeah.
That blows
She was
my
very proud
mind.
of that fact.
Yes.
She was very proud of that fact. She told us that on many occasions. I always thought that was rather amazing.
Agreed. Yeah, me too. I mean, I still have acquaintances, but I wouldn't say they're like close friends and haven't been for a really
Right?
long time, but
No,
just
no. But
blows my mind.
that was really important to her. I know that's a skill to be able to maintain friends through your entire long life like that. So yes,
Indeed.
she was quite a lady. So we'll be celebrating her life on Friday at a funeral, and
Yep.
Kara and I are going to sing.
I heard. I offered
been
Scott
quite a long-
services.
I know that you did, and that's
I
really
texted Rhonda last
appreciated,
night
but
and said Scott will sing at the funeral. That was news to Scott, who is not a singer, but I
was
just
gonna
thought I'd
say, I
help
don't
out.
think he knew. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Oh yes, and I'm so sorry, Ashley. I know Ashley said she's been doing the grieving thing for 3 months since her dad passed.
Yeah,
It's
but
hard.
she also said her dad's kindergarten friend came to his funeral. They were both 89.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, that is. That is some skills right there. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot on this show.
Very eclectic mix tonight.
It is a very eclectic mix, but I want to start with do you all remember who this beautiful lady is?
Yeah.
Selena. We all know who Selena is.
Mm-hmm.
Selena was murdered. Very, very famous singer, Selena, of course. And I mean, if you were an 80s, 90s kid, you know exactly who Selena is.
And you remember when she was murdered, because that was huge.
Yes. It was so shocking. It was I mean, it's more common now, and I'm sorry to say that, but famous people, it was a shocking,
Yeah.
absolutely gutting thing when Selena was killed.
Yeah.
Well, we are coming up on the 30, oh, this just ages the hell out of me, the 30-year anniversary of Selena's death.
Yes.
And with that comes some news that, well, it's going to make you pissed, frankly. If you recall, so Selena was murdered. She was 23 years old. And she was murdered on March 31st of 1995 in Corpus Christi, Texas. And, well, this sad old toad right here, Yolanda Saldivar, is the woman who murdered Selena.
Mm-hmm.
She was a business associate of Selena's, and Selena had to fire her for embezzlement a few months before
God's
Yolanda
sake.
killed her, if you recall. So Yolanda's been in prison for nearly 30 years. She was convicted in October.
She really does have her
uh,
own resting toad face.
Doesn't she? I know.
Yeah.
I thought there was a real Chad Daybell vibe here to this face.
Yeah.
But guys, Yolanda is nearly up for possibility of parole. Her sentence was 30 years with the possibility of parole. Well, it was
Ooh.
life. Sorry, it was life with the possibility of parole at 30 years, and we're almost there. And she is preparing to apply for parole. So in Texas, they initiate the parole process, review process 6 months before the actual eligibility date. So she's coming up eligible in like October, but she's preparing that now. And she says that they got to let her out, guys, because there's a bounty on her head in prison.
Aww.
In other news, who fucking cares, Yolanda?
Yeah.
You
What have you been doing in prison to get a bounty on your head?
Right?
Because don't tell me that's because of Selena's murder. If that was the case, you'd be gone a long time ago.
I know. I'm like, well,
so what you been doing?
Bullshit have you been up to?
Mm-hmm.
The motive in Selena's murder was money. Yolanda had been fired for embezzlement. So yeah, it was basically revenge and money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, Yolanda needs to be paroled because some people they want to kill her in prison. Pardon me while I play the tiniest violin that says "I don't care" for old Yolanda here. So, let's see. So she is applying now.
Yeah.
For parole, and she says, well, I mean, you got to give it to me because somebody's trying to kill me.
No,
That
Yolanda.
is not a reason to give you parole, lady. That is not a reason at all to give you parole.
No. Maybe it's time to transfer you to a different prison.
Who gives a crap? Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not why. She
said literally, who gives a crap?
Right. I know. When I read this article, I was like, we are, a lot of us, Katie and I, and then a lot of you listeners are of the right generation to know exactly who Selena was,
totally.
And what a gifted musician she was and singer, and how hideous that whole situation was, how incredibly sad. She was only 23, this beautiful rising star, and her life and career completely cut short.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody gives a flying fuck about old Yolanda Saldivar.
No. All I want to know is, why does she have a bounty on her head? What's she been doing?
Yeah.
And that's all. I just want to know. Nothing else. Yeah.
And this, I don't know. I haven't found like a lot of detail about it other than that's her reason for asking for parole, which that's not why you ask for parole. You ask for parole because you're rehabilitated.
Yeah.
But if you're, making people want to kill you in prison, then maybe you are definitely not rehabilitated. So, of course, her applying for parole does not mean she will get it. She's just eligible to apply. And obviously, this is a process, and that decision won't be made until near the end of the year. So Jess says she has a bounty because of the reason she was convicted. I mean, if that's true, they've kept her alive for 30 years in prison. I think she's doing all right. But it does make
also
you wonder
Yolanda.
what old Yolanda's been up to.
What makes you think you'd be safer on the outside?
Right? She is,
I mean, truly
hated to this day for what she did to Selena. I don't know that she'd be any safer out here. And it's gross. Like, no, if she was really should be getting parole, she'd be like, I'm taking full responsibility for what I did. I am so sorry to Selena and her family. I have worked, blah, blah, blah. There'd be some God and Jesus thing in there, probably. We've heard this story before, but no, what she's saying is there's a bounty on her head. Probably is on the outside too, lady, because everybody hates you for what you did to Selena.
How much is it? Just asking for a friend.
I know. Go fund me, anyone? I don't know. No.
Yeah.
Right? Me. She should reject. Right, that's so terrible. JSI says she should reject being paroled. If you ask me, she won't live a week on the outside. See, I think there's been a lot of talk ever since Selena was murdered about taking out Yolanda. It's been a thing. We've talked about it on here before, actually, but pretty interesting. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. It is bizarre to me that it has been 30 years since Selena was murdered. I mean, I remember. You don't even have to say her last name. I didn't even remember what it was till I read the article, because you just say Selena. Everybody knows. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, she did. just says Selena was very well loved. She not only unalived her, but stole from her fans.
Yeah.
Right. She was Yolanda was the president of her fan club. Remember when that was a big thing? When celebrities and musicians particularly had fan clubs, like real ones. Yolanda was the president of the Selena fan club. And she stole money from the fan club and tried to ruin Selena. Yeah. Yeah, maybe she has been in protective custody this whole time. I don't know. Oh, is there a documentary about her? Oh my goodness. How have I missed that?
About
You
Yolanda?
wanna know how old I am? I was already
It's about
out of high school
Yolanda.
when
That's
Selena
going to be the
was
watch party this month. I can tell right now.
Yeah. Or maybe Selena. Either way.
Either
it
way.
would be a good time. Can't believe it's been 30 years. Good God. But I think general consensus is Yolanda needs to stay her ass in prison.
Yeah, yeah. Indeed.
That just
Sucks to
seems,
suck, Yolanda.
unfair.
You're all done.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Yolanda said it was time to tell her story. Oh, dear God. Okay,
Oh
yes.
my God. We will be looking that up stat, because what the hell. And speaking of holy shit news, talk to us about what's going on in the Harmony and Montgomery case.
Well, this is something. Okay. As you know, little Harmony was murdered by her dad. We've talked about this case a million times. He was finally convicted last year for her murder. Her remains have never been found. There has been a question about Harmony's life and death that we have been asking loudly since we first discovered Harmony was missing. And I say this not to brag, but simply because it's true. We were maybe the first podcast to start covering Harmony. We're very close to it. I just happened on an article from a little tiny newspaper of a missing child that the police had just made an inquiry with CPS about. It was the very beginning, and we started covering it there, and then it snowballed into everything it did until this point. What we know is that Adam Montgomery was a terrible human, and that Adam had already been in prison for shooting someone in the face. Adam had had his children taken away from him. Harmony and her little brother had lived most of their lives in the custody of CPS in foster. Her little brother was adopted out. The same family that adopted her brother tried to adopt Harmony. And somehow there was a hearing in which, for a reason or reasons that no one has ever been able to understand, Adam received custody of Harmony. And then killed her. And before he killed her, they were living homeless. They were living in cars. He and his wife were heroin addicts that were just dragging these kids through hell. And we've been asking forever, why and how did Adam receive custody of this child? The family that wanted to adopt her are lovely and have all of the resources to take care of her and her brother. And this has not made sense. It's never made sense. We've always asked that question along with everyone else. Well, there is a lawsuit going on right now. It is on the behest of a documentary filmmaker who is doing a documentary on Harmony's life and death, and they want to know the same thing. How the hell did this ever happen in the first place? How? And how is there no accountability to both states of CPS who did not track this child and make sure she was okay? How?
She was failed by the system so badly.
So badly. So they have been pushing for a release of some of the sealed files. It is particularly of a February 2019 family court hearing that is the hearing that resulted in Adam gaining custody of Harmony. And they've taken it clear to the Supreme Court in their state. And So the arguments have been made. We don't know when the justices will rule, but some of them really seemed like they were leaning towards releasing it. Justice,
Why shouldn't
yeah, Justice Wendlandt said, "This is one of those extreme cases where maybe the veil of privacy should be pierced."
Right.
Some of the justices really challenged whether the continuing official silence on this does more harm than good. That maybe this case needs to be seen for what it was. One of the other justices
have the right to know what the fuck happened here. How this child ended up being placed with her disgusting, hideous father.
One of the justices said, this was Scott Kafker, said, "The father has been convicted of killing the child. The child is deceased. The obvious interest is making sure the child hasn't died in vain. We're not going to do this again. We're not going to do everything humanly possible to make the same mistakes again, right? Isn't that the legitimate interest here?" Yes, Scott. Yes, it is.
Exactly.
So there are some snafus, and unfortunately one of them is Crystal Sorey.
Really?
Crystal Sorey and her attorney are fighting to keep some of the details from that hearing out of the public eye for her privacy.
Sorry, Crystal, but you fucked up a lot too.
Maybe don't. Maybe don't. Because if nothing else, exactly, Kathy said, if nothing else, to prevent the nonsense in the future with another child, absolutely. Where this fell flat, where this happened, it should be known, it should be shouted from the rooftops, because accountability needs to happen, and we have to know why. Right? I have defended Crystal Sorey a lot throughout this whole process, but I am not on her side on this one.
No.
Release that shit.
Release it. Well, for one, there's not been any accountability in the child protection system in the 2 states that this happened between. And there needs to be. We need some sunlight on their interstate compact. What the hell is going on there? Why was there no follow-up with Harmony when they went to, is it Massachusetts? Anyway. And, I mean, that child was dead for a significant amount of time before anyone knew she was even missing.
Yeah.
Because nobody was paying any attention at all.
Yeah.
And she was...
And right, part of the problem is that he was awarded custody of her in Massachusetts, but then immediately took her to New Hampshire, where there was nobody paying any attention.
And this is a big hole that we have in the child protection system, because every state has their own system. And we do have interstate compacts, which are supposed to, cause, trigger some follow through when the state where the child moves to. But I will tell you, having worked in the system as a social worker and a foster parent, that that sucks. That kids get lost when they go from one state to another on a very regular basis.
Right. It was during COVID, and that also really shook up family services departments. Yeah, at the trial there was one. It seemed like there was one visit from New Hampshire that they tried to make a visit, but couldn't make contact, and that was it. And again, it was also during COVID. But
they tried one time, and then never went back to a 4-year-old child with a
truly
massive criminal as a father.
Why was he ever handed this baby? Why?
Right.
It's just so hard. He has a criminal record before this as long as your arm.
Oh, yeah.
He was not clean when he took custody of her.
No.
The only
and then he had
thing,
a bunch of weapons charges during that time.
Oh, yeah. The only thing that I can think is that he was married with more children, and that maybe that was enough for them to think, okay, he's stabilized his life and this would be okay. That's all I can think.
Yeah, there's also a lot of not a problem. If a kid comes from one state to another in a child protection situation, that system is way overloaded, and
Yep.
Yeah, it's hideous. The whole thing is hideous. But yeah, shine a light on all of it.
Yeah.
Massachusetts and New Hampshire need to pay the piper on this.
Yeah.
This is such a good example of why transferring cases from one state to another and continued supervision is so important, because honestly, it is well known that if somebody wants to get away from their child protection laws, they just move states. It's a
Ask Lori
well-known
Vallow.
thing that happens.
Yeah.
Yep, ask Lori Vallow. She did it several times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Amy says, I have a bipolar family member who got into QAnon and stopped taking her meds. As soon as something happens and CPS may get involved, they move states. Her 10-year-old has lived in almost 10 states by now, right?
Yeah.
They just outrun the system. Mm-hmm. Because the transferring of that information in cases, number one, there's no database where each state has their own system, their state-run systems, so there's no place
Normalizing.
that tracks,
Yeah.
or that would set off a ping if a kid shows up in a school system in another state or something.
Yeah.
There's nothing to report to child protection that says, hey, you better go take a look at these kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong. It's fucked up. It's why I advocate all the time that child protection laws should be federal and not state.
Yep.
This is exactly why.
Absolutely.
Whew. Well, wow.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. The Supreme Court has, they can rule whenever they feel like it. So it'll be a while. So we don't know.
It will, but I really hope that it gets, hope that we get to see some light on how this happened.
It seemed like quite a few of the justices were leaning that direction. So
it sounds like it. Well, they know full well what a huge problem this is. Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this jackass right here. This is the Tesla
terrorist
Cybertruck bomber that blew himself up in front of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day. And we're learning some, I don't know, why am I not surprised kinds of weird crap about him.
Yeah.
First of all, guys, he was a reality TV star. Did you know that? Because of course he was, right? I mean, that just goes with the narrative, doesn't it?
Him and Sarah Boone. Yes. Well, she wasn't reality, but okay. Yes.
But, right? Like, okay, so he was apparently a former UFC fighter and Army Green Beret, and his name is Tim Kennedy, has come forward and said he was pretty flabbergasted when he saw the Cybertruck bomber, because, boy, he knew him because he was his partner on a reality TV show.
Yep.
They appeared together on the Ultimate Soldier Challenge, which was aired for one season in 2013 on the History Channel. We know Livelsberger was a Green Beret. He was a decorated Special Forces operator. We know, the whole story. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound and blew up the truck. He's put out some absolutely insane, ridiculous manifesto bullshit. This was to wake up the country. To what?
Yes.
That you're a psychopath? Like, come on. But Kennedy said on Instagram, he said, 13 years ago, I competed in a shooting competition on the History Channel called the Ultimate Soldiers Challenge. And my partner in this composition was Matt Berg, or Matt Livelsberger, same guy. He kind of used Berg as a last name on social media some.
Yeah.
So Kennedy is also a Green Beret, and they won an episode that was called Green Berets versus Norwegians. I guess it was these battle-hardened veterans from U.S. Special Forces competing against a pair of commandos from Norway's super-secret FSK. I mean, gross. I would not have watched this in a million years.
You don't even remember this show?
I definitely do not know. And apparently both teams were competing against a rogue wildcard team comprised of two military contractors. Oh, boy.
Of course they were. Yes.
Yeah. So this guy was just blown away when Leibelsberger was identified as the Cybertruck bomber. He couldn't believe it. Never really expected that he would kind of go this way. Apparently,
Yeah.
Leibelsberger actually had been a 5-time recipient of the Bronze Star.
Yeah. It was 2013, Jess.
Yeah, 2013. So anyway, reality TV star? What? Also, this kills me. Jess, you're going to die for this because any defense attorney would be like, are you fucking kidding me right now? He planned this using ChatGPT, you guys. What the hell? So apparently, he has this stupid manifesto, and they've found evidence that he actually used ChatGPT to plan his attack. That he, why would you do that? Like, what? I mean, seriously, hey, ChatGPT, tell me how to blow up a Cybertruck in front of a Trump hotel. What? Apparently, he used ChatGPT to get information on how to conduct the plot, trying to figure out the amount of explosives needed in order to conduct the explosion. And let's see. Some of the other questions that he asked were purchasing tannerite in Arizona. How much do you buy? And what pistol could set it off? So did he then, I think, did use the gun to set it off. That's been a question that we've had.
Yeah.
Of course, ChatGPT, the OpenAI people, developer of ChatGPT, are like, holy shit. We were real sad to hear that was happening.
Just as fast as Elon Musk was out there going,
it wasn't the Cybertruck.
It wasn't the truck's fault. Yeah.
Yeah. They said our models are designed to refuse harmful instructions and minimize harmful content. Note to self, OpenAI, that's not working.
No, and it probably never will because of crazy people like this. Yeah.
So anyway, that was a couple of pieces of very screwed up information that I was like, holy shit, man. Let's see. Katie, I've completely... talk to us about... there's been some movement in Adelson.
Yeah. Charlie Adelson, to be clear, not Donna, but
That's such a flattering picture of Charlie.
this rat king jackass right here. Yeah. Charlie Adelson, guys, he needs a new trial. So if you wouldn't mind just getting that going. He's going to need a new trial, and the reason why is because of a lot of things that weren't fair, like finding him guilty. I mean, come now. Actually, though, it was more because it's come to light that his mother, Donna, had the same attorney. Yeah, Charlie, we know. Everybody knew, including you.
You knew as well. Yes, jackass.
So essentially, they were denied a motion to be relinquished back to trial court to try to get a new trial. So that happened last week, but they're still in the appellate phase. They still have other things filed, so it's not a complete done deal yet, but he did learn, just a few days ago that no, we're not just going to immediately kick you back to the trial court. His attorney said his trial was infected with conflict. Michael Efferman, gross. Don't ever say that again. Ever. No. He said that his former attorney, Dan Roshbaum, tainted his trial again. Michael, no. Don't use that word either. Due to his representation of his mother, Donna. No, we know. So did Charlie. He says... I'm guessing Charlie and old Donna just really aren't talking anymore. Well, I mean, I know they're not because of where they are, but
right.
There's nothing but hate between them. Ufferman said Rashbaum operated under duties owed to his former client, Donna Adelson, whose attorney-client relationship predated appellant Adelson's. If you're going to represent one person...
Why did you use him as your attorney, jackass?
Yeah. If you're representing one person and the timing is that you're now going to represent a second person and you're making decisions that could impact both people, that's not due process. That's not fair to the person on trial. Well, that's not true. This is a mess. But the only thing infected at this point is Charlie Adelson's brain. Give me a break.
Yeah.
So, right, Victoria, she said it seems like this was part of the plan the whole time. Was it? Yeah. No, I agree, Jess, that it's really problematic. It's super problematic. It should have never been allowed in the first place. Yeah. Would a new trial change anything for Charlie Adelson? No. The evidence against him was overwhelming. It wouldn't change anything.
No.
But this is a shit show.
Yeah.
Yep.
And why didn't the attorney do something about it long ago? Like, what? Yep. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you, Jonna, for this super sticker. So,
yes.
We'll see what happens.
Our is on. We appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't think Charlie's going anywhere, but would it surprise me terribly for him to get a new trial? It actually wouldn't, because this is problematic. It is.
It is. I don't know. They probably think that they solved it by, him having to. Yes, the attorney thought they had signed waivers and then didn't. Right before they started Donna Adelson's trial, discovered there were no waivers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know exactly whose fault that is.
Right.
But somebody's. Wanted to answer a question. Okay, so somebody was wondering if there's any update in the woman accused of arson in Puerto Rico. So.
Good question.
So I know. So if you know about this was a white Karen being a white Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Got kicked out of a bar. Went back later. Burned that bar down, along with 3 others, I think.
I covered it yesterday.
Was it in Puerto Vallarta?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did cover it yesterday. Oh,
no, Puerto Vallarta is in Mexico, but it was.
I'm sorry. What am I? Anyway, there was a search warrant served yesterday, but as far as I can tell, I don't see confirmation that she's been arrested yet.
I don't think she's been arrested. I know some local authorities shot off their mouths a little bit that they would never let her get this extradited to a foreign country.
Oh, for God's sake!
Because her name is Danielle Bertoffi. Because people just still are not smart enough to understand that Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. Yeah. She would not be getting extradited to a foreign country. Morons? Yeah.
Yeah. No. And she's going to go.
She has been arrested.
Has she? Oh.
Well, this is a Puerto Rican newspaper that reported.
Oh, well, they would know.
5 hours ago that she has allegedly been arrested.
Ooh, I hope so. Because I know they've really been looking for her.
Mm-hmm.
She destroyed people's livelihoods terribly, and she deserves some serious comeuppance for this shit.
Well, she endangered a ton of people's lives. One of that was a boutique hotel that had 50 people in it.
Yeah. What a jackass. Yeah, Jess says, I feel like this is even crazy for most Karens, right?
Yeah.
God. She had the whole big showdown and cops called and the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes back and burns that bar down and it causes all those other fires. Oh, She could have hurt a lot of people. Yep. And ruining people's livelihoods. Like, no. You straight to jail. Straight to jail for you.
Nope. First you go to jail, and then you go to hell for this one.
Yep, exactly. Well, speaking of going to jail and going to hell, if you go to a family member's house on Christmas and you're served a Christmas cake for dessert, you probably think you're safe to eat said cake because you're at your family's on Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Well, not so. For a family this year in Brazil, who 3 people died from eating a homemade Christmas cake that they now believe was laced with arsenic.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Yep.
3 others fell ill, including the person who baked the cake, which is
Right.
very strange to me. Like, you
Maybe
were
she,
trying to, like, was this a murder or suicide kind of situation? So,
right? Or
including a
was she
10-year-old
just trying
boy.
to prove it was okay?
Maybe. So the 10-year-old boy lived, fell ill, and was stabilized in the hospital. And some people are still in the hospital, at least one person. They said that they detected a spicy and unpleasant taste when eating the cake. But I mean, why would you do this to your whole family, including yourself and a child?
Right.
Apparently, the source of the arsenic was in the flour in the cake.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't just get arsenic in your flour. Like,
Well, no.
you
Especially
definitely
enough that
have
they
to.
tasted it.
Yes.
Because arsenic is mostly tasteless and colorless, odorless, isn't it?
I think you can
Or is
taste
that
it. Yeah, it's.
cyanide?
I think arsenic can be tasted, and they try to. When it's used, it's usually put in something strong tasting to try to cover it. But and Jess said, and they kept eating it. Here's the deal: have you ever been at a dinner at someone else's house, and they're real excited to serve you something, and then you taste it, and you're like, ugh. And so maybe you eat a little bit more to try not to be rude. I mean, this was on Christmas.
Right.
I could completely see that. But holy shit, she killed 3 people, seriously
Yeah.
injured herself and this child and another adult. Right? Being polite can kill you.
Yeah. Right. Instead of saying, this seems off. But,
I think arsenic is
people
kind of a
season things
bitter, really super
differently.
bitter, sort of metallic-y taste.
Yeah. But, people season things kind of differently, and you might just be like, maybe she's not the best cook, Or
She's
maybe she really
really
put a lot of
freestyling with
something in
this
this.
special
Yeah.
Christmas cake. Yeah.
It was special, all right. Yikes. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like
It
that lady
really
in
is. Yeah.
Australia or New Zealand that served her family all the
The
deadly
mushroom.
mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jess said, I usually blame my lactose intolerance and say I've had too much milk products. There you go. See? Yeah, 3 people died. Yeah, cyanide is the one that smells like almonds. No, arsenic I think is bitter and metallic. And so like it'll get mixed with like chocolate or coffee because it will be
Less detectable that
kind of
way.
masked. I don't know. Crazy. That's what it is. So
Yeah.
somebody's in some deep shit for that. That's so scary. Like, why would you? Why? Now listen. Also, the maker of said cake, her husband died of food poisoning in September. So they are now reopening that case. They thought it was a natural death, and now they're like, oh shit. Was that
Ooh.
like the trial run for the Christmas cake?
Holy shit.
I don't know,
What
man.
possesses
Terrible.
people to do stuff like this?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I don't know. I
Slogan
do
for
not know.
2025. Don't be polite and don't eat the cake. Good, Jess. I think that's wise. Yeah.
Well, our parents, when our parents were first married, our mom hadn't had a lot of experience with cooking, and she was doing her very best. And she'd been painting and had had a turpentine spill that got sucked up into one of her canisters, and she served up some turpentine cookies one time.
It was a cake. It was a chocolate
Was it a
cake.
cake? Is that what it was? But I mean, they immediately were like, whoa, something's very wrong with this. And no
Yeah.
one actually ate it. Yeah. Paula said we were at a friend's house for dinner and she was very insulted when the two diabetics wouldn't eat the flan she made for dessert, right? See, people can have quite a response to these things.
Yeah.
So you can see why somebody might, eat a little more of something that might not be okay just
Yeah.
out of politeness. Yikes.
Yeah. Well, our
Right.
mom ended her life as a really good cook, but she didn't start out that way.
She did. No, she did not. Our grandma, our mom's dad, our dad's mom, yes,
Yes.
mom, taught her to cook.
When she first got married, she didn't know how to make anything. But the girl caught up.
My dad used to joke that he got pretty fond of her black bottom cookies. Rude. Yeah. Yeah. So scary, weird. I don't know. But yeah.
Right. Maybe her family was scared of her. Maybe they were just trying to keep the peace so they didn't have a family brawl on Christmas. Yeah.
See, that's what I think, is it was something like that. That they ate enough of it that it killed them, like, yikes.
That's really sad and awful.
It is. So yeah, if something tastes off, just don't eat it. If somebody gets mad, that's all right. That's on them.
Yeah. Just doing a little bit more digging. I'm going to say Danielle Bertothy has not been arrested. Her home was searched. She was briefly put in a police car while they were searching her home. It doesn't look like they actually took her into custody. We'll double check on that tomorrow, but so far that's what we're seeing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had seen one thing that said that, and I always hate it when you only see one and then nobody else is reporting the same thing. You're like, is it true?
Got to really dig on this one. Yeah.
I want them to get a hold of her, though, because she needs to pay for what she did. That is
absolutely. Yep.
Oh,
Jess said, no one starts out good. There's a story of my mother-in-law making lasagna with crunchy noodles. My husband overused red pepper flakes. It happens. Well, my husband was making a homemade mac and cheese for our kids one time, and we were out of milk. So he just grabbed a can of milk out of the cupboard and used it. I was at work. I got home just as he was finishing making dinner and tasted the mac and cheese, and I was like, what'd you put in this? Just a can of sweetened condensed milk.
Oh, gross.
Believe it or not, the kids loved it. I did not.
You.
Yeah.
That sounds super terrible. Oh, Kristi says, I read yesterday there was an incident at the husband's funeral. There's apparently some bad blood in the family.
Oh, okay.
Well, she got away with it once. Maybe she thought she could get away with it a bunch more times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, sweet macaroni and cheese. Ew.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah.
Yucky.
Super yuck. Yeah.
Well, Katie, I know to round us out tonight, you have a bit of a Florida man story for us, don't you?
I do. Well, I have two. I have a Florida
that's
doctor
right. You have
story
two Florida
and
mans.
Florida man. So should I just go for both of them?
Give it your best shot.
Let's do the doctor first, because then we'll need something to make ourselves feel a little bit better about humanity.
We really will.
I don't know if the other one will do that for you or not, but we'll give it a shot. Oh my God. This story. This curdled bottle of ranch dressing that was left out in the sun too long. There's a doctor. He's a palliative doctor, which is hospice.
Oh.
He's traveled all over the world speaking on the topic. He's been a president of a company, very much in charge of people's last days as far as palliative care. But that was just his job, not his hobby. You're not going to like what his hobby was. His name is Dr. Stephen Leedy, but I'm not going to say doctor ever again because he actually lost his medical license yesterday.
Oh, good. Now I hope he loses his freedom forever.
Forever.
Ugh.
Why? Because Dr. Leedy has had a habit of going online using the username MaximumUncle #9112 and talking to children most
Maximum.
young girls.
Gross.
And convincing them to commit extreme sex acts upon themselves via video so that he could watch.
Oh.
Apparently, he always keeps a black screen, so the girls didn't know who they were talking to, but, these men somehow find the most vulnerable children on the internet, and so he was convincing these girls to create child sex abuse material for him that he was watching. He has at least 10 victims, according to the arrest affidavit. That is such a terrible read that some of the newspapers and news organizations that I tracked this on said they could not publish it because of how graphic it is. But the worst of it is he convinced a 13-year-old girl to kill herself while he watched. And when her parents found her, she'd hung herself from the shower nozzle, I think with a belt, and was nude and was hanging and was deceased, and her phone was propped up in front of her. And then they started finding these messages that she had been sharing between this username. That was 2 years ago. It's resulted in a big investigation, and they finally decided that they now know who it is. And it is Leedy.
My God.
His wife is also a director of a healthcare institution. It is so horrifying and so disgusting. So he's been charged with a whole bunch of sex crimes and other things. I can't really see where he's charged in the death of this child. And maybe that's coming. But it's so gross and terrible. Just so gross and terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. I could not see, Kristi, that he has kids. He does have a wife. His wife is saying she is absolutely shocked. She had no idea anything like this was going on. All the healthcare facilities that those two had their paws in are both going, whoa, 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 Don't look at us, But absolutely terrible. No, Florida.
Of course.
Hopefully not Utah. It wouldn't surprise anyone, but no, Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Boy.
I hope the jail is particularly terrible and it's just a precursor to a real terrible life imprisonment, because that's what he's facing,
Yes.
is life imprisonment.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So this has all just come down, so we will definitely be keeping an eye on this one. Yep.
And right, Jess, that makes sense that they might not know yet how to charge him or what to charge him with.
Yeah.
So Massachusetts did a situation like that as manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
He is one sick puppy.
Oh, man.
Gross.
It's so bad. It's just so gross. And so sad. Yep.
Oh, so sad for that family that lost their daughter.
Yep. He was also encouraging young girls in these videos to engage in self-mutilation for him to watch.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yep. And again, he has at least 10 minor victims from all over the country. And this is not her parents' fault, but can we just say again, your children are not safe on the internet. They're not safe at church, and they're not safe on the internet. And I don't know how many times these things have to happen. Nobody thinks their kid's going to get murdered, obviously, or kill themselves because a doctor is online with them, encouraging them to do that.
Right.
But your kids aren't safe on the internet. They never have been, and they never will be.
No.
Yeah, or school. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Right, that's a good point, Jess. Probably federal charges coming
Yeah, good point.
because these crimes were across the country.
Yep. Well, we will absolutely be tracking this one. Yep. So, let's talk about the other Florida man.
Let's do.
Because drugs, they can be real bad. Super problematic. Particularly when those drugs lead you to believe that you have been abducted by aliens.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, John Rene Matthias, 34, was in Palm Beach, Florida on New Year's Eve when he approached a friend's house and tried to steal their car. And the friend was like, "What you doing?" He went outside, and Matthias is out there carving up weird symbols and shit into his car. And saying that he's been abducted by aliens, and he's trying to break into this car. He's,
What do the two have to do with each other? I'm curious.
I don't know, but he was swinging a knife around, and as well as a limp noodle, because he was completely naked.
Oh,
And
Lord, of course he was.
so the friend was like, "I think what I'm going to do is go in the house."
Wise choice.
I think that's smart. So they called the police because, as you do, you know.
Yeah.
So the police show up, and he's
Naked
still
guy
out there.
carving symbols in your car. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's still out there, just naked as the day is long, carving shit up in this car, and telling the police that he feels like he probably has to die because he has been abducted by aliens. So he was taken in on counts of attempted carjacking with a weapon and criminal mischief over $1,000 because, you know, he did beat the crap out of the car. And
Kristi says he locked his keys in his spaceship.
so he is on house arrest. They have, of course, asked for a mental health evaluation and probably looking at, you know, what all was in his system when this happened. But yeah, this was one of those times. His friend said he was done because he's never seen him act like this before. Was shocked. Imagine a friend of yours just out in your driveway, naked as hell, just carving the shit out of your car with a knife because they've been abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I would. He made a very wise choice there to just go in the house and call the police.
Well, what you gonna do?
Not engage,
you know,
with whatever that is.
Yeah, there's no reasoning with that. He also had a knife, so, and he was also naked, so you know,
lots of reasons to just stay away.
Yeah. So, no more of that for you. No more of whatever that was. Sadly, there was one more thing that happened on New Year's. That things like this happen every so often, and the police have said it a million times. Quit shooting your guns in the air to celebrate, because what goes up must come down. Those bullets don't just magically disintegrate. And in Florida, on New Year's Eve, a 10-year-old child was killed by an errant bullet from someone shooting their gun in the air.
Oh my God.
They don't know who fired it, but they know that she was
morons.
outside with her family and suddenly collapsed because a bullet had entered her head.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know how humans have survived to 2025. Frankly. Because we are dumb.
Yep.
Dumb.
Yeah. And people have been
Oh,
warned.
people actually do that, Jess? Oh, hell yeah, people do that.
Oh, yeah.
People do that here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, that has become a thing, and the police have been begging people for years. Don't do that. The bullet goes somewhere that you can't control. Yeah, and sadly with this little girl, she was just outside with her family celebrating New Year's and just suddenly collapsed.
That's awful.
Yeah. Yep.
Paula says physics and gravity don't take holidays. Right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they're just out there firing their guns straight in the air as a celebratory thing.
Drugs are bad. So are guns. Just don't do it, man. Just don't do it.
When you act like that.
Right, Waters? We made it to 2025. It's a miracle. I'm not sure how or why.
Right. But we marched right in with 2 domestic terrorist attacks on New Year's Eve, so New Year's Day. So here we are.
Good God. Well, that sounds like the United States to me. That's pretty much what we're living in these days. So
Yep.
crazy.
Bananas. Yep.
Well, that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was really really a lot. But we'll be back with more tomorrow.
And to be fair, there could have been more.
Oh yeah, there always can be more. So we will be keeping a close eye on, well, all of this along with a lot of other stuff, and we will be back. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Mountain, like we always are on Thursdays. And thank you all for being here, whether you're here with us live or joining us after the fact. We really appreciate you. It's nice to be in season 6. I don't know. We've got a lot coming. There's a lot coming in this year of 2025. So hang on to your butts.
Particularly Lori Vallow being pro se. I think we're all just waiting with bated breath to see what happens there.
I think we all got to rest up now to be prepared for that trial, because it is going to be.
Yep. Probably start doing some practicing of rolling your eyes now, so you don't accidentally roll them out of your head later.
It's a good idea. Build up those muscles, because you're going to need them a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
There'll be no eyeball sprains here. Yeah.
That is true. All right. Well, you guys know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.